NASCAR silly season dominoes are beginning to fall as Kyle Larson has signed a contract extension through the 2023 season. Cindric is going to be driving the 2 for Team Penske full-time in 2022, and Burton will be driving the 21 for Wood Brothers full-time in 2022. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a lot of NASCAR stories discussed here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into those really quickly. We're going to start off with Off Mortgage, as they are going to become the new presenting Victory Lane sponsor starting in a couple weeks at Watkins Glen. Gatorade has been the presenting sponsor for Victory Lane for a very long time, since back at least for sure in the 2000s, probably in the 1990s as well. But Roof Mortgage is going to become the official partner with them. I think it's really cool for sure that we're going to see a new partner working with them, and it's definitely some really exciting news overall for sure. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Ty Dillon. As Ty Dillon is going to be racing at the Evergreen Speedway Summer Showdown SML race next month in August. Quite a few NASCAR Cup Series, not NASCAR Cup Series drivers, quite a few drivers are already announced that are currently racing NASCAR that are going to be racing in this event. We already know that Jesse Little is going to be racing. I think there's a couple other drivers currently racing NASCAR that are running this event as well. It's really good to see that Ty Dillon is going to be running this event. I think Ty Dillon will have a very good shot of good overall contending for the victory, considering I think he's a very solid when he was racing the late models. He ran extremely well. Depends on what car he is going to be running. If the car is good enough, I think he'll contend. So I think the car is going to matter, and I think the driver also is going to matter as well. But to me, I think it's awesome news that Ty Dillon is going to be competing in this event. It's really good news overall for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about the starting lineups for the Cup Series and Xfinity Series races for this weekend at New Hampshire. Let's start off with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, as Jeff Burton is going to be starting on the pole for the race at New Hampshire. I believe this is now the second or third time this year that Jeff Burton is starting to pole after finishing, I believe, runner-up in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He will be starting on the pole. Really cool to see Jeff Burton is going to be starting on the pole for this weekend. Now, my pick is actually going to be a Cup Series driver that is running an event. My pick to win the race is going to be Christopher Bell, who's driving the 54 car, because Christopher Bell, the last time he raced here in New Hampshire in the Xfinity Series, he went on to win the race in the number 20 car. So I honestly think that Jeff Burton is going to have a shot of contending for the victory, touching top 5, but I think that you will see a win for Christopher Bell. And for the Cup Series, let's move on to that. Kyle Busch is going to be starting on the pole for that race. Kurt Busch, who won the race at Atlanta, is going to be starting 4th in that race as well. My pick to win the Cup Series race is actually going to be the pole sitter, Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch is going to be able to pick up his 3rd win of the 2021 season. I think track position is going to matter a lot, and Kyle Busch has been on an extremely incredible roll over the last weeks. So I do think that Kyle Busch is going to be able to pick up his 3rd win of the 2021 season. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Dawson Cram. As Dawson Cram is going to be making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut this weekend at New Hampshire, driving the number 74 for Mike Harmon Racing. I believe this is going to be the first race that Bailey Curry has not been driving the 74, and I think this has been sponsorship commitments. Now, Dawson Cram, I believe, has ran 26 Truck Series races. They've not been impressive, though, that he's ran for his own organization, and his own organization is not really that well and has not done very fantastic. So I honestly don't think he's going to do that great in the Xfinity Series debut. Mike Harmon Racing has shown levels of decent speed, top 20, top 25 speed in the past, but I do think that Mike Harmon Racing this year points to taking kind of a downturn where they were last year. I hope that he does really well. I think the goal for them is maybe to finish in the top 35. I know those are low expectations, but let's see for real. Dawson Cram has not been that impressive in his time, but I mean, I like Dawson Cram, don't get me wrong. So hopefully he's able to do very well, and maybe we'll see maybe a top 35 run, but I'm really happy to see, at least it's cool to see that Dawson Cram is going to be making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut. Maybe in the future, if his team has issues, maybe in the future he'll go to Mike Harmon Racing. I'm not sure, but it is really cool that Dawson Cram is going to be making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut this weekend at New Hampshire. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about 2311 Racing. Now, it was announced yesterday by 2311 Racing that they have formed its first equality initiative called Speed Institute that will provide scholarships, paid internships, job opportunities, executive development training to diverse candidates. I think this is really cool what 2311 Racing is doing for these scholarships. I find it really cool that what they're doing. 2311 Racing, they haven't been done that much good on the track, but off the track, I think what they've been doing is really impressive. They've been fully sponsored, and now they are doing this to bring diversity to sports. I think diversity is really cool, and we need to have more diversity in sport. To me, I think it's really awesome. 2311 Racing is overall doing that. I think it's going to going to be great for the sport to bring individuals in from different corporations and stuff in diversity as well. Really, really great to see that 2311 Racing is doing that, and I think it's really exciting for the future of 2311 Racing. I really like that they are doing that overall for sure. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Josh Sims. As Fox has hired Fox 46's Josh Smith as an on-air reporter starting with this weekend's race here at New Hampshire. Now, I had actually looked up Josh Sims. Like I said, Josh Sims has worked at Fox 46's Charlottesville, so he knows his way around NASCAR. And to me, he'll be basically working with Bob Pockrass. He'll be basically doing what Bob Pockrass is pretty much doing. They're still going to have Bob Pockrass working for him, but he'll basically be the second reporter that is joining up with them. I know that Fox had been cutting back on some of their staff that they've had there, but it looks like they are bringing in someone that has a lot of knowledge of our sport. And yes, he is African American, but it is really cool to see. Again, I think it's cool what Fox is doing to bring a guy that has knowledge inside and outside of the sport. I think it's really cool overall for sure that we're going to see a guy like Josh Sims come in, like I said, who has knowledge of the sport, and he's been inside the garages and stuff in the past, and he's been doing his best to learn and get knowledge. So to me, I think this is really cool that Josh Sims overall is getting an opportunity to come into sport and work with Fox, and I'm definitely wishing the best life. I've seen a lot of people and a lot of reporters give him praise, like Bob Pockrass. I've seen Adam Stern give him a lot of praise, and I've all seen like Jamie Little, Michael Waltrip, who were really, really excited to see him. So I think that when you have people like that congratulating you coming to Fox, I think you are made a really, really cool impact. So I'm really happy to see that Josh Sims is going to be joining the NASCAR family and the NASCAR and Fox team as well. I think this is a great acquisition. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson yesterday was speaking to multiple media members, including Bob Pockrass, and he said that his 2022 plans are still up in the air, and he still needs to win more races going forward. Now, Noah Gragson here in 2021 has had a lot of bad things go for him. It seems like 1 week he does really, really well. The next week, some craziness happens. Whether it's on the road course where it seems like every single race, whether it's in practice or during the race, he's had engine failures. He's had just things just seem like everything goes wrong. He's close to winning Homestead, and literally with 2 or 3 laps to go, Davis Starr, who had a tire go down, literally pulled up in front of him. Unfortunately, he had a tire go down, even though Davis Starr really wasn't at fault. Just that he had a tire go down. Davis Starr was running really well in the race. I would like, hopefully Noah Gragson does still get an opportunity. I think Noah Gragson does bring some funding, and he does bring some sponsorship. And like I said, he does have a lot of funding backing behind him, and I think he is great for the sport. But like I said, the on-track performance hasn't really been there. He's only gotten 2 or 3 NASCAR Xfinity Series wins throughout his entire career. And unlike Kyle Busch, who's done really well, I mean, you know, Noah Gragson, I think, has potential to be a guy that could do something, but he hasn't had a lot of good on-track success so far, and I hope that there's a chance he does come back to NASCAR next year. I mean, I hope he does get an opportunity to go to Cup next year if Junior Motorsports eventually does go up. I'm not sure, but yeah, hopefully Noah Gragson does get an opportunity going forward. I like seeing Noah Gragson continue his career in NASCAR, and hopefully he does get that opportunity to continue racing next year, whether it is at Junior Motorsports full-time once again, or if he does go up to Cup. We'll have to keep an eye on the story for sure, but Noah Gragson, we'll hope to see what happens going forward next year. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're going to talk about all the Kevin Harvick rumors that have been going around. There have been some wild Kevin Harvick rumors that have been shared over the last couple weeks. The first one that everyone really started talking about was that Ryan Blaney was going to leave Team Penske, and Kevin Harvick was going to retire, and Ryan Blaney was going to move over to the Ford. This one does not make sense to me. Why would Ryan Blaney, who's in the middle of a contract, why would he leave Team Penske, who is in a couple more years of Team Penske? Why would he leave and go over to SHR? This move does not make any sense to me, in my honest opinion, so I don't think that this rumor is true. The other massive rumor that's been going around is that Kevin Harvick is going to leave and retire at the end of the year, and he's going to purchase JTG Doherty Racing and become the owner over there. Now, this one is a little bit maybe more true. There's been some credible individuals that have said that this is a rumor, and they've heard this rumor, and this has apparently been around for a couple of months. Basically, and there's a good reason maybe why this could eventually happen. Both drivers that do drive currently for JT Doherty Racing, that'd be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece, both of them are KHI managed drivers. So there is potential that would make a little bit of sense. But that being said, honestly, I don't see these moves happening. Again, you can't believe every rumor that you hear, whether it's on NASCAR Reddit, whether you hear it on NASCAR Twitter, wherever you hear it on social media. You can't believe every rumor. See, I just had to address these rumors because these rumors have been going around and they have been blowing up. To me, I don't see these moves happening, to be honest with you. I mean, silly season's already been. That's what we talk about here later on today's episode. But man, honestly, I don't see Kevin Harvick purchasing JT Doherty Racing, at least right now. I know that he has ownership experience in the past with KHI, but I honestly do not really see these moves happening, in my honest opinion, as of right now. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Kurt Busch. Now, Kurt Busch basically spoke to the media yesterday. He was talking about what his potential future could be looking like going forward. He says he has confirmed that he's had offers from 23XI Racing, Trackhouse, and also Fox Sports 12. He quoted said, "We'll see what next year brings, but I don't have a deal signed yet. The Trackhouse thing changed the way the Ganassi structure was being chatted about." And then, yeah, 23XI Racing is still up in the air as well. Now, we know that Kurt Busch is going to probably be going to a new ride next year because Chip Ganassi Racing is going to be bought out by Trackhouse. And there are basically you have those two teams that are looking at potentially picking up Kurt Busch. And I think regardless, whatever team he does go to next year, I think is going to bring a really, really good to have a veteran like Kurt Busch, who I think is the most sought-out free agent at the moment. I think Kurt Busch is going to bring a lot to the table. I know some people have brought up, like, why would he go to 23XI Racing when he has Monster Energy and Dr. Pepper basically sponsoring Walls? Well, Denny Hamlin is a Coca-Cola driver, and we've seen it with other organizations as well, where drivers with different soda brand stuff have basically worked together in the past. So that 100% is true. I mean, Kyle Larson for a long time was sponsored by Coca-Cola, and they were so honestly not sure about on that front, but I think a lot of people are still leaning that Kurt Busch is going to end up at 23XI Racing next year. I've been thinking that as well. It's probably going to be Kurt Busch who's going to end up at 23XI Racing at the Trackhouse, but I still think that Ross Chastain is likely the most likely candidate that is going to end up at Trackhouse next year, unfortunately. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens going forward for sure, but very interesting. Also, Fox Sports as well. Honestly, I want to see Kurt Busch racing next year. It's really all I want to see, regardless if he's at 23XI or Trackhouse next year. I want to see him on the tracks. He proved this past week in Atlanta that he still can get it done and won the race and showed he's still capable. I mean, he's been really, really consistent over the last few weeks. Other than his 20th place finish at Pocono, he's not finished worse than 6 or 7 over the last 5 or 6 races. So to me, I hope Kurt Busch does continue his career long-term going forward, and we'll see what happens down the line. But Kurt Busch talked to the media about his future. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chase Elliott and William Byron. Now, we're going to be talking about Kyle Larson, his contract extension here, just in a little bit. But Rick Hendrick spoke to the media yesterday. He says that they are also working on extensions for Chase Elliott and William Byron, who are signed through the 2022 season. It was announced last August after William Byron won at Daytona that he basically had signed a contract extension through the 2022 season, and we know Chase Elliott's contract for sure goes to the 2022 season. Now, honestly, let's talk about William Byron first and Chase Elliott. I think both drivers have done really, really well so far this year. William Byron won at Homestead. I think he and Rudy Fiegel have been also extremely consistent, and there's potential that William Byron can make it to the championship for the first time this year. Chase Elliott so far in 2021 has scored 2 victories, both of them coming on road courses at Road America, Circuit Americas. But he's also been extremely consistent as well. And he also had more top 5s and top 10s throughout the year so far through 2020 races than he had last year. So he still is a championship contender as well. Now, I will tell you something. I was told a few months ago, I'm not going to tell you my sources, but I was told a few months ago that there is a big contract, and they want to keep all these guys there, right? There is a massive contract that is going on for Chase Elliott. We're talking lifelong contract that is going on for Chase Elliott. We're talking 10 to 15 years. But they're basically still need the sponsors to basically work out for this move to overall happen. I think that this is going to happen really, really soon, and I think both drivers absolutely deserve. I think the dynasty that Rick Hendrick is building right now is really, really good. And the fact that you have a young team, this was really important to note, is you have a young team. You look at JGR when they were dominant, these guys were not young. They're all in their 30s. All these drivers are under the age of 30 years old. Kyle Larson is the oldest one, and he's only 29 years old. Alex Bowman is 26, I believe. William Byron is 23 or 24. And Chase Elliott is 25 years old. So all these guys are really, really young. And when you have a young team that's this dangerous already, is really, really crazy. But to me, I think it's really cool that Rick Hendrick is trying to keep both their drivers, keep their driver lineup for a long time. We know for sure that Hendrick is at least going to be the same altogether through the 2023 season, and it's great that Rick Hendrick is working on some major contracts for those drivers. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Austin Cindric. As it was announced this morning that Austin Cindric is going to be driving a 2-car full-time in 2022. Now, one sponsor that was announced, and this will be sponsoring for Ryan Blaney as well, is that Discount Tire is going to be one of the sponsors that is going to be remaining at Team Penske next year. Now, this move is not surprising to me. I expected this move to happen. Now, it was announced last year that Austin Cindric was going to be going over to the 21. Well, when Brad Keselowski pretty much was rumored that Brad Keselowski was moving to Roush, and we haven't had that confirmation announced, but it's basically expected Brad Keselowski moving to Roush, we all expected that Austin Cindric was going to be moving in. And this move overall makes a ton of sense in my honest opinion. Number one, Austin Cindric is the son of Tim Cindric, who's been basically running the operation of the Team Penske's IndyCar program and is a competition director for Team Penske as well. Number two, Austin Cindric is a really awesome road course racer, and there is a ton of road courses coming on his schedule. And in the road course start, especially on the oval start as well, I think he has been extremely impressive in all the starts as well. So to me, I think that this move makes a lot of sense on that front as well. And with the potential of a lot more road course coming up, and this section car is going to be a thing that works a lot on road courses. We're going to see a lot of road courses probably added going forward. I think that's another reason it makes sense. Number three, he won the Xfinity Series championship last year, and he's the favorite to win the championship once again in 2021. The last time they won the Xfinity Series championship was back in 2010 with Brad Keselowski. And like I said, they haven't been as big of contenders in a very, very long time, so it makes a lot of sense. I think Austin Cindric has the potential to be a Cup Series superstar. I really, really do. He also could fizzle out and not be that great, but with how many road courses coming on the schedule and what he's been able to do in the select Cup starts that he's had so far, I think that he is going to do a lot of great things going forward in the Cup Series. And I think he'll be around for a very, very long time. And it was inevitable eventually that he was going to end up at Team Penske regardless. I mean, he's been part of the Penske development program since all the way back in like 2015 and 2016. He drove for BKR, which was a Penske team, because Brad Keselowski drove for Team Penske for the longest time. I think, like I said, this move makes absolutely a ton of sense. Now, what are my expectations for Austin Cindric in his rookie year? I'm going to keep my expectations pretty realistic with Austin Cindric. I think he has a shot to make the playoffs, but honestly, I'm not sure how he'll do. I mean, I think he'll do really good on road course. I think he absolutely can make the playoffs next year. I think he honestly could win some road course races next year. I think he honestly will see definitely him contending on road course for sure with Chase. He's also a really good Super Speedway racer. We've seen him win a lot of Super Speedway races in the past. And I think that he'll be very, very fun to watch going forward in the 2022 season. I'm really happy that he is going full-time in the 2-car in the 2021 season, 22 season, excuse me. Really good news for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next major story of today's episode. Now, yesterday on the channel, we talked about that there had been a rumor going around that Harrison Burton was going to be moving over to Wood Brothers for the 2022 season. Well, it was officially announced today that Harrison Burton was going to be driving the 21 car full-time for the 2022 season, and he will be replacing Matt DiBenedetto for the 2022 season. Now, Quick Lane and Motorcraft are going to be two of the major primary sponsors that are going to be working, but there's another sponsor that is expected to move over with him, and that is Dex Imaging. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am really, really shocked. Kind of shocked, to be honest with you, that rumor ended up coming true. I'm really, really surprised because a lot of us thought that Matt DiBenedetto was going to be remaining in the Team Penske Corporation. He's going to remain with Wood Brothers for the 2022 season. I mean, when they changed up the cruising stuff and Jonathan Haas was coming in, we all thought that he was going to be moving into the team. Now, Matt DiBenedetto, we'll talk about him for just a second. We'll go into Harrison Burton in a little bit. Matt DiBenedetto apparently was told last night that about 5 o'clock that this move was overall going to be happening. So he was told literally last night that this move was going to basically be happening. And he was basically released a video saying that he still wants to be in the Cup Series. He wants to be racing going forward. I know that he was also asked about if he wanted to maybe go back down to Truck Series and Xfinity Series, do what John Hunter Nemechek did. But he basically said that he belongs in the Cup Series. Now, I'll be honest about Matt DiBenedetto. Matty D has not absolutely been impressive since going over to Wood Brothers. I know that Wood Brothers has not absolutely been a fantastic team, and I think Greg Urban was definitely one of the biggest problems overall at that team. But Matt DiBenedetto barely made the playoffs last year. I know that Ryan Blaney is a really, really great driver. He was able to make it to the round of 8 in 2017 and was able to get a victory. Now, Matt DiBenedetto has been at times close, and his performance definitely, I think, was starting to gradually improve with Jonathan Hassler coming onto the pit box. But, I mean, this technically is a Team Penske car, and you're expected to perform a little bit better when you're in the Team Penske Corporation because they can kick you out at any point. So, to me, it definitely is really, really unfortunate they are because I honestly, I don't think that Wood Brothers really wanted to kick out Matty D because remember, they all have a management partnership with the Team Penske, and Team Penske was apparently the one that overall made the decision to do this. So I really hope Matt Benedetto finds somewhere to go next year. Maybe he goes to second track NASCAR, even though it's probably that Roche team who's going to be driving it. Maybe goes to the GMS's program next year. GMS is supposed to be jumping up the Cup next year. Maybe he goes to Cogs Corporation. I'm not really sure, but I do feel for Matty D, and hopefully he does really, really well. It finds a ride next year in Cups. I think he absolutely deserves another opportunity in Cup. In regards to Harrison Burton, though, really surprising, like I said, that he's going full-time in Cup. Now, what are my expectations for Harrison Burton? Number one, I think Harrison Burton, and honestly, I don't think he'll make the playoffs. I think we have to be really realistic with Harrison Burton because, like I said, he hasn't had a lot of Cup Series starts. He's also going to be the first full-time Cup Series driver that was born after 2000. He's also going to be younger than me. Honestly, don't get me wrong. He does have 4 wins for JGR last year. I mean, this year he's not winning, but he's been in close winning. But he's been extremely consistent compared to a guy like Matty D. But Matty D has not won a race. Harrison Burton has won quite a few races, and he does bring that funding. And he was also part of the KHI Management Group, which is in the Ford Corporation. But that's one other thing that's really, really interesting as well, is the fact that Toyota is basically losing another very, very talented driver. Toyota's been basically cleaning a lot of their houses, and because I think there's really nowhere to go for Harrison Burton, I think he chose to go over to Ford. And we've seen a lot of these Toyota drivers like Haley Deegan move over from there. Riley Hurst move over from there. Ford is definitely starting to pick up some development over there. And I think Harrison Burton does have a potential future to be successful. Honestly, just don't think he's going to be absolutely fantastic in his rookie year. I think the goal is to try to finish top 20 standings. Show what you got. We'll definitely see the Kim Cam a lot for sure next year. And I'm really happy to see that Harrison is getting an opportunity. But at the same time, I think maybe one more year in Xfinity would have just cut it, in my honest opinion. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Harrison Burton is a very, very talented driver, and he's shown it. But I think he's not 100% ready for Cup. But that being said, funding is going to matter a lot. I hope Matty D gets an opportunity to go somewhere really, really good. But we will see Harrison Burton full-time next year in the NASCAR Cup Series with Wood Brothers for the 2021 season. And now we're going to go and jump on to the final major story of today's episode. It was announced yesterday that Kyle Larson has signed a contract extension through the 2023 season with Hendrick Motorsports. Now, the good news for you Kyle Larson fans is he is going to be fully sponsored as well through the 2021 season, 2022 season, and through the 2023 season. Now, Kyle Larson's contract had originally ended up through the 2022 season, but now he's got one more official year through the 2023 season as well. HendrickCars.com is going to sponsor him for 35 races each in the 2022 and the 2023 season, and Valvoline will sponsor the other 3 races, because technically there are 38 races on the schedule, sponsor him for the other 3 races as well. Now, here's one reason why we're seeing HendrickCars.com sponsoring for a majority of races. Rick Hendrick reports his automated website increase in overall traffic up 27%, vehicle sale leads up 18%, digital retail leads up 37%, and trade evaluations are up 61%. When I found the news out that Kyle Larson was getting extended, I cannot tell you how excited I was, because Kyle Larson, in my honest opinion, has been absolutely balls to the wall this year. You look at what Kyle Larson has done so far in his time this year. I mean, I thought Kyle Larson was going to be good this year, contending for the round of 8. Kyle Larson has arguably been the best Cup Series driver throughout this year. He's led over 1,000 laps, has scored 4 victories this year, technically 5 if you count the All-Stars. He's got the most wins so far in the 2021 season. And this 5 team has been great on the mile and half tracks. They honestly should have more wins than they have. They honestly could have potentially up to 7 or 8 wins. I'm not kidding you. We could be talking about legendary numbers right now if things would have gone his way throughout some of these races. Look back at Pocono. He could have won that. But his performance on the track has been absolutely incredible this year. And I know that we all remember what happened last year, but he's really changed his image overall. The fact that basically you have a sponsor that is this committed to Kyle Larson, and technically it's not 100% even though it's in the Rick Hendrick group, it's still technically a regular sponsor that is sponsoring him. And the fact that someone is committed to this, and it's great to see that Kyle, it's kind of like a throwback to the days where like people that are earning it have been increasing in value, and they're like, you know what, we want to sponsor Kyle Larson, we want to keep sponsoring, we'll keep him in there for a couple years and do what we got to do. And there have been there were some major corporations that were actually really wanting to sponsor Kyle Larson, but Rick Hendrick with the increased value, HendrickCars.com, he just set that aside. But like I said, I think the future of Hendrick Motorsports, talking about with Chase Elliott and William Byron, I think overall the future of Hendrick Motorsports is really, really promising. I think it really, really is. If you look at what they've been doing, the whole organization as a whole, and the fact that they are keeping Kyle Larson in the organization for as long as they are, I think is going to be great for the future. I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson does win a championship here in the next years. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a championship this year, to be honest with you, because like I said, Kyle Larson's been the favorite. I mean, like I said, we all thought Kyle Larson was going to be good this year. We didn't think it was going to be that great. And one thing I forgot to mention is that they're not only going to be sponsoring his NASCAR team, they're sponsoring his dirt team when he races in dirt, and also his extracurricular activities as well. So, and they're also going to be sponsoring his helmet and his fire suit as well. So they are all going into Kyle Larson. You don't see this much commitment, and honestly, the livery looks really, really cool. So to me, I'm really happy. I mean, we all know that Kyle Larson made that mistake last year. But to me, he's earned the second chance, in my honest opinion. And like I said, I am extremely, extremely happy. I cannot tell you how great to see that sponsorship is willing to work with Kyle Larson, and it's paid off. And in my opinion, he's absolutely earned this extension with his performance on the track. And I think he's done incredible throughout this year. And I'm really happy to see that Kyle Larson is 100% for sure getting extended. And I think, like I said, honestly, he's going to be a great driver for years to come. He's proven at Hendrick Motorsports. I said that when he went over to Hendrick Motorsports, I thought the team was going to take major, major turns. And sure enough, he's done that. And I'm really happy to see that Kyle Larson is getting extended. I cannot tell you how excited I am that Kyle Larson is getting extended at Hendrick Motorsports. So, anyway, that is it for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel to get notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Support pages on the link description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about Kyle Larson getting extended through the 2023 season, and how many wins do you think he will get throughout this time at Hendrick Motorsports? Let me know in comments below. And what are your thoughts about all the other silly season stories we discussed here today on the channel? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time with some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.